Cool. Thank you guys for having me on the user group today. This title was given by Himadri, so I'm just using it. So from brainstorming to brilliance, the untold story of Sidecore Hackathon. So first thing I always tell people is that Sidecore Hackathon is completely community run. So the judges, myself, obviously part of the Sidecore community for a long, long time. So we run it as that. From time to time, we do get guidance from Sitecore, although in the recent years it's been kind of low. It's a 24-hour competition, so people can use all of the 24 hours, part of the 24 hours. It doesn't really matter. Some people prepare for it ahead of time, but happens yearly. It used to typically happen end of Jan, early Feb, but because of the timing of the MVP awards and things like that, we moved it into March. So it happens first or second week of March, depending on how it hands out. Oh, hold on. Wait. Yeah. You guys see my screen, right? All right. And then so this year, so usually we have about 6 community judges. One of them dropped out. Typically, the same judges from last year carry on because there's so many tasks to do. To bring someone new on and to teach them all the things takes a lot of time. So unless we don't have enough, we typically keep the same judges. So this year it's Michael West, Cam Roos, Jason, uh, Alex and Neil, who will be part of this. Alex and Neil are both from the UK, so it kind of gives us a little bit of coverage as well. And then the rest of them are in the US, so it kind of helps us cover the whole 24 hours as much as we possibly can. Um, the whole process starts like I usually tend to post things around November or so the year before for teams to sign up, and it goes all the way through Jan and Feb. I think this year the last day to enter your team is Feb 23rd. So they sign up for the team, and then what happens is an hour before the hackathon starts, the teams get an email with the idea. So either it's one or many ideas. Every year it kind of changes a little bit. So we send them the idea, they look at the idea, and they have to come up with things, concepts, right? And they're given a GitHub repo along with all the other fun stuff that they need to submit in terms of exactly what exactly we need. And then the winners usually get announced at the SuckCon EU. That's typically where we announce it, regardless of where the team is from. That's where we've announced it, other than when it was the pandemic, we did it online. Um, a lot of stuff happens on Slack. So if you're not on Sitecore Slack, you should be on Sitecore Slack. So we have a hackathon channel every year. People tend to coordinate there, celebrate there, share their statuses, things that they're doing there as well. So it's kind of nice to have a communal place where you can talk about the hackathon. Hold on, someone's here. Let me admit them. The way it's been put out there, right? So like originally, every time you think of an idea, you don't know what all it does in terms of all the benefits or not. And these are the things people have said in the past of what it does to them. So one of the biggest thing is they say it's team building. If you notice, usually it's either friends participating in a team or teammates from a company participating in the team. And then what they've typically come out saying is it's made us be a stronger team. We understand a lot more. It was a lot of fun. It was a pain to be in for 24 hours, but it was a lot of fun because we tend to understand each other a lot more and we are able to work with each other a lot more. Second thing people say is it's a lot of fun. So if it's fun if you make it fun. If you are too serious and want to be like, I have to win, which you should, but at the same time, it's no point if you're not having fun. So a lot of people, what they do is they get t-shirts made, they have banners made, they get really nice food, or they go out to dinner or breakfast, depending on which time zone they're in. So it kind of takes them out of the competition for just a little bit, puts the brain on the fun mode, and then you go back and you capture the rest of it. But that's really, really important to think that it's part of having fun. Um, the other thing people come out saying is it's helpful, and I can personally attest to it. So how is it helpful is every single thing that's submitted ends up being in a public GitHub repository. I think we started this a few years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, and there's a wealth of code in those repositories. And I have personally gone in there from time to time. I'm like, I know this was already done somewhere. Go look for it, take a look at the code, you understand how it's happening, and you kind of use it to inspire for your own solution if you're trying to work on a client solution or whatever that it is that you're working on. But I personally use that as a reference because there's a lot of cool things that people have come up with in the past. So I absolutely think that that's something which comes out of it. I do have a QR code and a link at the end of this presentation if you want to go look at the repositories. There's plenty. So if you can imagine, on average, there's about 70 teams or so over 5 years. That's a lot of repositories sitting there with code in them. And the last is the challenge itself. So a lot of people find it extremely challenging because you're trying to push yourself to do something which you haven't done before. So in 24 hours, you have to build something. You don't know what the idea is. It's given to you. No matter how much you prepare for it, you can't be prepared for the whole thing. So it will surprise you. And a lot of the time, the teams that win are not the ones who are the best from a technology perspective, but it's best overall. They incorporate a little bit of fun, they incorporate the tech part, they incorporate creativity in their solutions, and that's what kind of catches the judges' eyes when they look at it. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So it's not just, two plus two solving the problem, but they also find creative ways to appease the viewers as well as the judges. So that's what I would say. The best part of all of this are the pictures. So every single year, a lot of people submit a lot of the pictures of what they've been doing. So if you can see, it's teams of people, custom t-shirts, banners, food, they go out to breakfast, they work together, whiteboard together. So it's really, really a team fun event, even if your team is geographically different in terms of how they're located. So that's what I found. So back in the day, so I started Sitecore 2007. Yeah, that sounds about right. 2007, 5.3 is when I first started Sitecore. And what I found was I used to work for a company called NTT Data, and in 2013, I think, I don't remember now, it's too far away. Someone from my practice challenged me saying, I can be an MVP. So I'm like, fine, I'll be an MVP. So I was trying to work towards producing a lot of content. And what I found was there weren't many people, there wasn't a group. It was very disconnected. Not a lot of people shared their knowledge online. Um, and it was kind of hard to pinpoint people who did Sitecore, who didn't do Sitecore, but you kind of knew that there was a community around it, but there was no place for it. That's I'm going to a little bit of the Slack story here as well. But so then I was like, fine, I'll just start a hackathon where people will work for 24 hours, build something, obviously, like anything. First time when you do it, not a lot of people participate. It takes a lot of time for people to accept that there's something, but consistency is key, right? So did that in 2014. There were only 11 teams, but it was a lot of fun. People caught on. And then as you see every year, like 2015 and 16, the number of teams grew. So it goes up and down, which is fine. But from the 14 part, the number of teams always grew on average about 70 to 90 every single year. And every single year they would produce these uh, modules which were usable. So back in the day, about 4 or 5 years ago, it was all XP, right? So Sitecore XP was easy. Modules can be on the given out or stored on GitHub. It was pretty easy to judge and everything. Uh, Always had a lot of countries represented, 20 to 25 countries on average get represented in each of the teams. But as we came into the more of the composable genre of things and Sitecore started adopting composable products, it got a little bit difficult, I will not lie. It's gotten a little bit tricky because one is you need to have access to these. And when you do have access to these, even after that, you need a way to represent it. Not all code exists on your own thing. Like for instance, Content Hub, if we did have a category on Content Hub, what about all the customizations that you can do in it or the configurations that you can do in it? You can't just extract it out to be a code base, right? So it kind of got a little bit difficult. And what we ended up doing is we tried to morph the judging style to match that need. What do I mean by that is off late, we've been asking the teams who've been shortlisted to come on and show the judges their demo of what they did so the judges can say, you know what, I might not have a subscription to XYZ and have the keys for it, but they are able to poke the team and saying, can you actually show me that? Like, where is this setting? You're triggering this Azure function. Where does that happen? Can you show me a little bit of that? So apart from the code walkthrough, which we can do by ourselves, anything configuration related, we got a chance to jump on the call with certain teams to be able to do it if that wasn't provided. Some teams actually do spend time and document it and provide it to Privy note or something like that, the key itself, so we can test it or specify directions in which we can get keys so that the judges get it. So what typically happens is if about 90 teams signed up, you get a 50% drop within an hour of the within an hour of the hackathon starting because people don't realize how difficult it is and they give up. So what happens is they look at the idea, they're like, oh crap, now we got to come up with stuff. They spend an hour or two and they realize I probably am not going to do this in 24 hours. So a good number of people drop. The others are hesitant and they drop halfway through. Some of the people spend a lot of time, half of the time, and they're like, you know what? I want to finish this, but I can't finish it in the time allotted. So they end up actually finishing after the competition and they post back on social saying, hey, this is my solution. So it's kind of interesting, but a good 50% stick to it. And on average, like 40 to 50% of teams that signed up actually submitted, out of which probably a good 20% are gone. So in all, about 30% of the entries are valid because the criteria is defined by the judges, right? So in terms of all the things that they need to have in an entry, which is, you need to have a video explaining it, you need to have instructions, you need to do a couple of things to show that you know what you're talking about. You have to follow the coding guidelines, you have to follow how you're going to submit it, and it has to be on time. And that's been an interesting one because people always so we have monitors, who I call monitors. So people who take their time to make sure that the judges are doing their job right, even though it's not their job. So people look at, you picked team XYZ, but they uploaded it 8:01 p.m. Eastern on this day. This is the timestamp and things like that. So they're checking up on things like that. But we're trying to help people get their entries in. Sometimes people have issues. There've been cases where someone's trying to drive home and trying to submit it. They have a tire puncture. They actually take a picture and send it to you saying, "Hey, I really am running late because here's a picture of my car. I'm waiting for the guy to fix it," or they're having different issues. So we try to be helpful to people, but at the same time, not so helpful that it's a disadvantage to the others. But we do try to keep the same submission criteria for everyone. People submit it. We close out all the repos. The good thing is by now we've have quite a bit of automation, I guess, where the repositories get created automatically once I close it on the 23rd, get a export of the teams, throw it in a PowerShell script. It creates all of the repos with a copy of the boilerplate. And the same thing happens when we close it. So once we close it, run a script, the script goes and closes out all of the repositories so people can't update it. But if you have 90 repositories and you're making API calls to GitHub to close all of those repos, it's not going to be done in 60 seconds, right? It might take a few minutes. So some people do have the opportunity to get in. Um, we also try to give people advice. So in terms of the videos, right? So we've seen in the past, people sit and wait for the video to upload before they actually push up their repo where the video link is. And we try to guide them accordingly, saying, I understand that, but once you start uploading to YouTube or hopefully one of those um, uh, you know, mediums, it actually gives you the URL before the video is even finished uploading or processing. So you don't have to wait for it. You take the URL, dump it in the help file, push it up. So your job is done. You then just need to make sure that the video processes or uploads appropriately. So things like that. But this year, oh, I didn't update the slide, but it closes on the 23rd. We extended it by 1 week. Tamas also included this on the Sitecore newsletter to get more signups. We haven't really gotten that many this year. We're at 34 or 35, which is very, very low, but we're trying our best. And I don't know if there's no interest or this other stuff going on, but anyways, so that'll close on the 23rd, which is this Friday. And then next Friday, March 1st at 8 Eastern is when the hackathon starts. So we have a few ideas. I can't share what they are, but it's interesting. It's going to throw a curveball again this year for people because there are people who try to prepare for this, and it's going to be difficult to prepare for this one. But hopefully, let's see. So that's the QR code if you want to go to the 2024 hackathon page, has all of the information in there. This is the QR code for the main repository. It has a ton of other sub-repositories per year. So if you search by the name of the team, and again, on the hackathon side, every year has its own page. So if you want to look up the winners, you can get their repository from there directly itself, or you can search in here. You can search through any Git repository. It's all public, but it's available as well. That's all I have. I can answer any questions that you guys have other than one question, which is what is the idea for the hackathon for this year?
Hey, Akshay, I'll jump in. One question I have is, and maybe you covered it at the beginning. I joined a few minutes late, but who are the hackathon judges, and is there a process to be considered as a hackathon judge if someone was interested?
Yes, so we did cover it, but I'll go over it really quick. So right now, so usually we carry on the hackathon judges from one year to another year, just because of the process that we go through. There's a lot of ins and outs and things that we need to do. So if we do need a new judge, there's a learning curve associated with it. So unless someone drops, we don't really pick someone up. So yeah, so if one of these guys were to drop, then I would be on the lookout to find someone. There is really not a specific criteria. Someone from the community, whoever it is, would be more than happy to take them. And then essentially, because you'd be one of many, as part of going through one of the hackathons or two hackathons, you'll understand all of the mechanics behind it. So you'll be in shape to train someone else who comes in. But there's no specific criteria. Anyone from the Sitecore community is welcome, but we very rarely do look for new judges just because of the process involved.
Sure. Great, thank you.
I guess I would have a question. My question, I guess, would be around, do you know teams that are looking for a teammate or because I was thinking I'm currently looking for my next opportunity, and I thought, well, maybe this is something I could do with my family, but my daughter has never coded in Sitecore, right? And like you say, it's tough to even get started a lot. So I mean, do you know somebody who would, because like you say, a lot of times it's friends or it's coworkers. So, maybe a friend group that would like an experienced Sitecore engineer.
Yeah, typically what happens is a lot of people sign up with like one or two members. Typical team is three, the max is three.
I see.
So what we do is if there's someone like you who's interested in joining a team, I can
Mhm.
put you in touch with a few of the ones which only have like one person or two people, and that would be the easiest way. So if you want, Craig, drop your like email or something in the
Sure.
chat for me, and then what I can do is I can introduce you to a couple of the teams which only have one or two members, and if it
Perfect.
works out, then yeah, you could be part of their team. Gabriel, you have a team of one, don't you?
I sure do. Yep. The last time I tried to gather a team, everyone flaked out like basically half hour before the start.
Yeah,
I,
I remember that.
I and I was in on it alone, and it turned out okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, this time I'm just going in knowing I'll be alone and with some experience on that. So that's my plan currently.
Well, if you want, Craig's available, just so you know. I'll send you an email anyways, but
Sounds good.
if you wanna, yeah, but I do remember that that's one of the really disheartening things, guys, is like a lot of people drop out, and it's hurtful when one or more of the team members want to do it, but they can't because the team members just drop out, and it's really, really hard to know the day off, let alone half an hour before before the before the competition starts. So I understand.
At least I remember, Akshay, when I was new to the community and I didn't have a partner, and Madhu was introduced to me in the Sitecore hackathon. That's how I came to know, and it's been a good run from the since then. So you never know, you like unknown people just getting connected, and it's also good because I was totally new. I didn't know what Sitecore is.
Totally, and that's how I connected to Balaji, actually.
Oh, nice.
There
I didn't know
it's-
that. Now I know.
But it's
Yeah,
amazing that
Yeah, go ahead, Mother.
no, the first time when I did as well, like I didn't know anybody, so I just registered as single person, and then I was reaching out to all the single person. And Balaji responded, and then we connected, and then from there, like it's been 5 years, and we've been like doing so many things together,
Yeah,
presentation.
you guys run user groups together and do a lot of things together. That's awesome.
Yep, indeed.
It all credit goes to Hackathon, actually.
Woohoo. Thank you. I didn't know that. I should add one of those. Create
Absolutely.
lifelong relationships and
Yeah.
friendships. Yeah.
Maybe I should post some testimonial in Hackathon.
Yeah, you should do that. Make new
I will.
friends.
Definitely, I'll look for the site. I'll look at the site and then I'll post some testimonial.
Yes, please.
Awesome.
Anybody else want to share their story or any funny event in the hackathon?
I'll just say, like, I did it for about 5 years in a row. I've given up more recently because I work for Sitecore now, and I can't win anything. But although I've been thinking about maybe doing it this year, I don't know. It's just something fun about it. You know, I did it for 5 years. Selecting a good teammate is definitely very important because I've had years where I'm always like, this year I'm gonna go in single, not have anybody, and then I end up with a team. And in some years I like that, and then other years I've had really bad experiences from that, just with people. You know, you get your teammate and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do something." He doesn't come back till the next day, and so it's situations like that that make it really tricky. But if you find a good teammate, once you do that, then it's a lot easier.
Yeah. Craig, so you need to make your case to Gabriel that you're going to be a good teammate.
That's all very objective, right? It sounds like the bar is really low, so I might be okay.
You just have to show up and stay.
Yeah. And if you can code, I guess there's a bonus.
Yeah, I'll say another thing is after doing it for 5 years, like it's a good idea to get some sleep during the middle of the night. Because if you try to just, go straight for the night, it's the morning's not good.
Yeah.
So
You
definitely
need
get
to
some
take
sleep.
breaks, rest up. People actually get sleeping if they do it from work. They bring sleeping bags and they actually sleep for a little bit because it's super important. Like Dylan said, you need rest.
Yeah, don't try to go through the whole night. I would just, maybe try to get, 6 to 8 hours of sleep, just a regular night's sleep. 'Cause I did it 2 years ago with Sitecore employees, and Rob Earlum was on the team, and he just went and took a good night's rest, and then when he came back, I was like up all night, and he was way sharper than I was.
I wanted to also mention this is my second official hackathon that I'm joining, but the first one that I did not sign up for was in 2018. But I was like super interested in watching. I think Jeff was really like putting it up, everything he was doing on Twitter, basically hour by hour updates. And I was inspired, even though I didn't know what the prompts were, but like I just had an idea, and that's how Sitecore icons came about. I basically hacked that together during the hackathon. And that it was basically inspiration, just kind of stay up with everyone else and do it, even though I wasn't really a part of it. But I do consider that my first hackathon. And something cool did come out of it. So
It's awesome. I think a lot of people would appreciate the icon picker, Gabriel.
Yeah. You know how long we spend on finding icons. So
yeah, definitely.
Absolutely
I
agree.
actually, I'm new to this hackathon program. So I have a question. Maybe it could
Sure.
be a silly question. So, for example, 3 team members are joining in the hackathon. So, is it possible to work in the shift basis? For example, first 8 hours, the person will be in, and then next person will come in the different zone, and finally the next the another 8 hours, everybody's will be on the call. Something like that. Is it possible to do?
it's totally up to you how you want to split up that time.
Okay.
You could choose to work only 1 hour of the 24 hours or the complete
Mhm.
24 hours. How
But
you
someone should be in the team.
even if you don't work and you wake up the last hour and you can produce it, you can. So like the
Okay.
time management part is yours. We don't keep tabs on if anyone is working or not,
Mhm.
other than the entry at the end. So how you manage your team, how many hours you work is completely it's under
Okay.
your control.
Okay.
One thing
Thank
I
you.
would say is that the first hour is probably the most important, just to select what you're going to build. And then, like I said, I worked with Rob Earlum. He went to bed soon after the discussion about what was being built. And so I didn't see him again for 8 hours, but it was fine. Because everybody's on different time zones, possibly as well.
Thank you.